Imitating sounds of one of the Philippine words.
Okay, so hopefully everyone can hear me, and I'm going to hand it over to Scott.
Thank you, Kevin. Welcome, everybody. Glad to see the people here, and I'm really happy to have all of you at home here to join us as well. Just a couple of announcements about Second Chance Wildlife. Is the major wildlife rehabilitator in town here, and they are really looking for some help with their rehabilitation efforts. And they're doing fundraising this month, and their workload is going to increase quite a bit. And I'd like to have Vicky, one of the vets at the zoo, come up and explain a little bit about some of the funding that the zoo is helping out with for Second Chance.
Hi, so some of you may know that the zoo in the past has been the organization in town that does the rehabilitation for birds of prey. So vultures, owls, hawks, raptors of all kinds, eagles and falcons. Because of the current avian influenza outbreak, so across the United States, in every state, there is a highly pathogenic avian influenza strain that has been around for about a year now. It showed up last year actually, and just keeps going. So unfortunately, it is very dangerous for our zoo collection birds, and we have had a case on grounds, and there's also been a couple other cases in the community, Canada goose, and on grounds we have a duck. And then in New Mexico, not too far away, there was some backyard poultry that's been infected. So this strain of influenza is very dangerous. It's highly fatal to poultry in particular. It's also causing a lot of problems with raptors. Because it happened at the zoo and on grounds already, we are now under a state mandated quarantine for at least 2 weeks. And because it's now basically for the entire winter, it'll be here. So it travels along with the migrating waterfowl. So people in this room understand better than anyone else in town that now is the time of year that the waterfowl are coming to visit us. So the migrating waterfowl are here. They have brought the highly pathogenic avian influenza, which makes doing rehabilitation at the zoo really dangerous for our birds. And because we have a lot of endangered species and really valuable breeding birds, we really just can't risk that anymore. So first of all, we're under a mandate that we can't take any birds in for 2 weeks, but after that, while avian influenza is in town, we do not anticipate being able to do any rehabilitation on zoo grounds because of risk to zoo birds. That means that Josie is trying to step up and help cover. So Josie Karam is the founder and primary caretaker for Second Chance Wildlife Rehabilitation. She already does all kinds of wildlife and songbirds and everything. She is one woman. She is well beyond the age that she should have retired. And she's still working her butt off. And she has a partner with cancer. So she's hit on all fronts. And she's the only one in town who's doing this anymore. And who can do this based on permits. So we're trying to help her out as much as we can. The zoo has donated out of our conservation fund, which comes from, if you go to the zoo and you go buy a cheeseburger or anything inside the zoo, they'll ask if you want to round it up. And so the extra change to go up to the next dollar will go to our conservation fund. That raises about $20,000 a year, give or take, which is amazing. And we are able to use that for conservation projects and funding. So we have pledged $2,500 to Josie right now as an emergency fund. And we're trying to ask other environmental organizations in town to match that, or see that as a challenge to please bring your money if you care about birds. It's the only place in town that's taking care of the injured ones, and the public really expects it, but nobody wants to pay for it. And wildlife does not carry a wallet. They don't do Venmo. They never pay for themselves. So if we want to keep being able to take care of these animals, and we really have to help pay for it, because we're the people in town who care the most. So I really urge us to consider some kind of a donation, whether it can match the zoo's donation or not. Josie's budget is, well over 30,000, I can't remember, per year, and we're about to dump a bunch of raptors, which eat expensive food. Rodents that we feed raptors are more expensive than bird seed and that kind of thing, so it's not cheap. And we keep tabs on how much we spend every year at the zoo, and just on raptors, this includes staff time, so calculating for how much I'm paying the staff who's taking care of these birds, but then the medical costs and the food as well. We spend about $50,000 a year on doing that. So Josie doesn't have another $50,000. Of course, she doesn't have to pay staff because it's all volunteer run, but she really needs help. And so I hope that we can help her out.
Yeah, we'll be talking about it as an organization doing it, but I did want to mention to everybody that's here tonight, whether in person or at home, excuse me, that this week is El Paso Giving Week. And it's an opportunity for people in El Paso to give a little extra support for different organizations that they feel are really important. So that is a way that you would be able to help support Second Chance Wildlife. You could also just contact them directly and make a donation to them that way.
And volunteers.
And I was gonna say, if you want to volunteer, they would love to talk with you, because I've been out to Josie's place and she's always there by herself. 99% of the time. And I've seen a lot of the stuff that she has with baby birds and all of that. So if you have some time, you can help her out. She'd really appreciate that. So,
Can I ask you?
sure.
Yeah, I was with Jonathan.
No, well, I think they're still working. I'm not exactly sure what the status is of that facility out there. She does a lot of it at her own home. Yeah, so that, if you call her, that's where you'll get her. So,
I'm a volunteer. I did get a laptop, so I called into her and check out what's going on.
oh, great. Well,
But we did go up to that facility that they bought.
yeah,
For no one's donated.
right.
And I've been kind of busy and I often wondered how it worked.
Yeah, I haven't, yeah, you could check with her. I don't know the status.
It's back to her because of the recovery that's working in our.
Okay, so we are have okay, thank you.
Sure, sure. Okay, and another thing I wanted to kind of let everybody find out about today is birdathon. Last weekend, we had all of our counters go out, no, weekend before. Yeah. Everybody went out and counted, and we got a lot of birds seen, raised quite a bit of money. And I was gonna ask Eddie if you give us a little update on some of the numbers.
I want to first thank all of the people who sponsored. It was just very generous donations this year. We're a little bit ahead of last year. We've got almost $5,300 in income and a little bit of expenses to go with that, but about 5,300. The final amount is not in. I'm still waiting on one birder to submit a checklist, but we're right now, the total for all the counters is about 142 species we're seeing in the El Paso and Del City areas. So it was even though it was rainy that weekend, it was still a pretty good counting day as it turned out. And there were some surprises, quite a few, as a matter of fact. Kevin had a Lewis woodpecker and a white-throated sparrow and a brown thrasher, all of which are fairly uncommon. There was also a common raven that Jim Payton saw, ruby-throated hummingbird. An eastern hummingbird was at John Caseda's house, a blue-headed vireo, a brown, black-throated sparrow. That's fairly common. Bronzed cowbird is not too common at this time of year. But, and the one that surprised me was a juniper titmouse. And not only was it seen by one, but it was seen by two birders. So, really good. And then a northern parula, also an eastern bird, was seen by Jim Payton. Were there any questions about it? We'll be getting notifications back to the sponsors a little bit later, and an article in the newsletter probably in the 1st of December. Thank you.
Thank you, Eddie. Are there any questions from people here before we get started? Oh, John, yes. Yeah. John Sproul is going to talk about our new edition of the El Paso area checklist.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you. Yes, this is your reward for coming this evening. This is the first revision of our local checklist in 10 years. Back in 2012. We started working on this almost a year ago. A lot of time and effort went into it, but finally in late September this year, we printed. So you're the first to get that. And already it's out of date. There have already been some new records that have been cause us to start revising. You'll have to wait another few years. You see that?
Next vision.
Thanks, John. If you're interested, whoever listens to this, you can get a copy of it through our website. Transmit this on our website. So, all right, with that, I'd like to transition into our presentation tonight. We're going to be talking about birding in the Philippine Islands. And the reason this came about is that Elizabeth Wakefield is from the Philippines, grew up there, and has spent a lot of time visiting family and birding. And she's always wanted, well, she's actually shared with us photos from some of her trips in the past. But she's always wanted to arrange a trip for Paso and Audubon, be able to go and enjoy and see some really spectacular birds. So we put together this program to reintroduce people to the bird life of some of the bird Philippines, and also to try and entice some of you to maybe join us on a trip there in February this year. So that, let's see.
This
Yes,
close it.
it's the pictures of the birds came from the professional bird guides that were joining us. Besides being a bird guide, they're also professional photographers. So they have a blog in Facebook that they're constantly posting the birds that they see, because they're constantly out there and they're posting birds. So I asked them if I can copy the one that have the possibilities we would see when we go to the Philippines. They gave us the permission, and I gave it to Scott. She put them together, and of course, one of the things in the Philippines is that so many endemic birds, and we try to also note there that most of the birds that are being shown, I mean, there's more, but since we are you know, tight on time. We only select some that we can show. Most of them are endemic. Some of them are only found in one place in the Philippines. And some of them can be seen in several islands. But if we get to go to Palawan, a lot of the birds that are here can only be found in Palawan. So it's a real treat, and I'm hoping that we can we can have this trip and take some people with us starting February, and hopefully every year or every other year, whatever possible, we can take X number of people to go birding the field.
So just to give you a sense of where we'll be going. Of course, this is the Philippines, Philippine Islands. But it's probably familiar with where they are located. And you can see here on this colorful map that there are hundreds of islands, small and very large. We'll be hitting the two of the big ones, Palawan and Luzon. So Elizabeth mentioned the endemism there. It's really remarkable. From what I've been able to read, 237 species of birds that are endemic to the Philippines, find nowhere else in the world. I was curious how it compared to places like Madagascar, the Galapagos, which are also really noted for their endemics. And you can see that Madagascar has about 120, and the Galapagos Islands has about 26. So there's a huge number of birds that you can see there that you won't see anywhere else in the world. Just to give you an idea of some of this endemism, found these charts that if you look down, just scan down this column for all of these birds. This is on Palawan. You can see wherever it says E or NE, that's either endemic or near endemic. How many endemics are on this? It's huge. And it's just on that one island. And then if this is on Luzon, which is the big island where Manila is located, do the same thing. And you can see all of these E's. You know, just they go on and on. It's just remarkable. And when I was putting together the pictures to talk to you about it, I didn't realize we had such a plethora of endemics to show you. So I think it's really exciting. And I'll let Elizabeth take over. She can talk about some of the birds a little bit. Oh, well, come over here so people at home can see this.
Inside.
We want people to hear you home too.
Oh.
So you need to stand over.
Okay.
I'll push the button.
Yes, I'm so glad that Scott put the names on the pictures too, because I was thinking, can we help able to remember all the names of these birds? I've seen some of them when I was in Philippines birding, but this place in Luzon, two places in Luzon that we're going, I haven't been there, and remarkably, and I'm so glad with Mark, that's the guy, send me some pictures to show to us that these are the possibilities of the birds we're gonna see. So we have this one here,
Yeah, this was the whiskering trees.
that one is common there. But the guides took these pictures. That's why it's so amazing that they're out there just taking these amazing pictures that is just beyond description when they show and find all these birds in the forest. It's their job, I guess, to kind of monitor the birds, and then it's also what they do is they also monitor the types of trees, fruit-bearing trees that the birds are attracted to. So they keep track of those too, and they check on them and take pictures of whatever bird shows up. And so they're trying to figure out which one are their favorites, and they go over there and get pictures of them. So this one is one of the endemic one, the Philippine nightjar. And we have the emerald dove, the flame-breasted fruit dove.
When I was putting this together, looking just at the doves, I was thinking, boy, there's what we have here in the United States. Now, this is like Wizard of Oz.
Some doves and pigeon that eats the fruit eating doves and pigeons. And so we have the white-eared brown dove and the pink-bellied imperial pigeon.
Yeah, what I did when I put these together is I tried to group some of the doves and kingfishers together, but it's different for Luzon, which is what we're on here.
And if you notice, he put his name there, and I'm glad he did, because then he also put the name of the bird that he saw. So I'm glad he did that. And we have the spotted wood kingfisher, a female, endemic, and the indigo banded kingfisher. The white-collared kingfisher and the Philippine dwarf kingfisher. And they're very good in what they do because they want to make sure that that we get to see as much as we came here for. And so they also know exactly where to find them and what they do if you don't have a good camera, because they carry this heavy load type of camera. They will share the pictures with you because they know how important it is for you to have pictures of those beautiful birds. Because some of the camera are just so limited that theirs will be better. So the Brahmini kite and the Oriental crested honey buzzard.
Have any of you been to Southeast Asia? So you may have seen some of these, like the white-breasted kingfisher or this brown.
Yeah.
They're really widespread. These are one of the places where we also shoot.
We have the Philippine hawk eagle, yes, in the peregrine falcon.
And I put the peregrine in just.
Yeah, and as a matter of fact, Mark D was following up a nest with trying to follow up how many would eventually survive with the chicks. He was following on that too. The Philippine serpent eagle. That's the Luzon plainback. The hanging parrot. They're all over even though they're endemic, they come in groups. They're so noisy, they're just out there. That's a beautiful one.
I always thought this was kind of odd because I always thought of trogons as being numerous. Here in southeast US and southwest US and down into Mexico and south. So you've got kind of a wild worldwide distribution.
Hooded pira in the Philippine they have a lot of flower peckers. I guess it's understandable why so many. The flowers seems to be always, they never run out of flowers. They're always in bloom. They take turns blooming, and that's right. The longest try. The malcoha, that one is the real pretty, very spectacular birds, the malcoha.
If I remember right, these are type of a cuckoo in that family. So.
They're mostly, it's kind of dark, but they're really blue for, I guess, the reflection of the light. If you get it in a different lighting, it's really deep blue.
I was reading a little bit about these fairy bluebirds. Apparently there are 3 species. One of them is more in Southeast Asia. There's another one on a small set of islands between Indonesia and Philippines. And then there's this one that's in the Philippines. Nuthatch. Yes. Same genus as our nuthatch. Bulbuls are another kind of southeastern species, but they have this in general. Sunbirds.
Oh yeah, those sunbirds, they're real beautiful. There's several of them. And that one is only found in Palau.
So this I kind of switched to the photographs. What's his name?
Romel.
Romel, he'll be the guy that Palawan. So these are photos that he provides.
So we have two guides, one in Luzon and one in Palawan.
Set of pigeons.
Yes. Uh-huh. There's another one that can only be found in Palawan, the people. Okay. Oh.
At the El Paso Zoo. We have a Palawan.
You see them in the atrium.
Yeah.
Make it little.
Another big set of kingfishers.
I always wondered about that historic bill. That's a kingfisher, you humongous.
Blends right in.
And I, when I saw this picture, and saw the name, it's, what's the racket tail? Some of the other birds you can, like, which ones that you see in South America. But if you look closely at the picture down in here, there are the rackets. So they do have the same tail feathers shape.
But they also have a bird named leaf bird, so it's a shape, exactly the shape of those leaves, and that's why they're hard to find. So they're exactly that shape, that bird is called leaf bird.
Set of woodpeckers. This guy's got a lot of character.
Romel. And he's also gonna take us on a night birding, just so that we can see the birds that are there during the night.
There are quite a few different owl species there, so I want could be very productive. Different species. Some more sunbirds. Spider hunting.
They take such beautiful pictures, those guys.
So that's our teaser species. Just to give you an idea. I said there are a lot of endemics. But what we're looking at doing is putting together a trip rather than explore it with. It's not being done through any travel company. On the fly. And so what we're looking at doing is flying into Luzon to Manila. Here. And then we'll also be going later to Palawan. But on Luzon, what we'll do is get into Manila. I think we have we get picked up there, and then we go to our location where we'll be staying, which is about in this market. And
In front.
yeah, but we're not actually in front.
Oh.
But what we'll be doing is we'll be staying in one place, and then we'll be driving out to locations around Infanta, which has a lot of variability. So we different altitudes and habitat types that we can see and get a good sense of birds that are around there. And then the last day that we're on Luzon, we'll go to Badas. And have you been there?
No, those two
Oh,
are.
that's but from its location, it looks like it's on this Laguna del Ba. Laguna, the river or the lake. So I think we may be able to get some aquatic things there. And then from there, we go back to Manila and we catch a flight to Palawan. And we'll be based out of Puerto Princesa. And from there, we'll be going out to various places on Palawan to do the birding there. And so that's in a nutshell what we're doing. Somewhere I brought some papers that have some of the questions that you might have. Okay, so what we would be doing is leaving from El Paso and going to Manila, spend time in the Luzon area, fly then from there to Palawan, do the birding there, and then from there we fly back to Manila, spend the night there, and then come back to the US. What we were hoping to do is get everybody on the same flight so that we don't have to go back and forth to the airport and just make it easier that way. And cost, and this includes airfare from the US to Manila and all the flights between all the domestic flights. So the whole thing comes to roughly $3,295 for 12 days. The only uncertainty is the airfare, because that changes, depends on which airline we do, but it's about $1,200 for the airfare. So you can see that the cost of the trip itself is very modest. So that's what we have for the presentation, but I'd certainly like to get any questions that you might have. If you, those of you at home, if you are interested, you can give me a call. I meant to put my phone number down.
This is the newsletter.
No, it's in the newsletter, right? So you can get it off the newsletter. So anyway, that's it. Yeah, questions?
What is the regular one?
All this-
What is the weather like? Well, that time of warm, that's a good question, the reason why we chose February because it's nicer, cooler. So the months of December, January, February are cooler. And of course the rest, but it's still humid, since we're gonna be going to a forest. It's a little bit humid, but it's something that could be bearable. So I think it's, of course it's dry.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And is that a rough average of the price per person?
Yes,
If you go on your own, is it more expensive?
no, this is going single. If you go as a couple, two people room together, we can make it a little bit cheaper. This price was based on per person per room. So if you double up, then we can
Yes.
split that so that that pair's price would be a little bit lower.
The rooms, the food, you're gonna share the food, so it'll be cheaper. One room. And you split the price. Split the price also. Absolutely.
And the other thing too about food is we will be having breakfast at the lodges. That'll be provided, included in the cost. But the other meals like lunch, dinner, and any snacks that you want, we're gonna leave that up to each person. We can all eat together, but you'll be like going to the restaurant on your own going Dutch.
One more question.
Sure.
I need you to ask questions.
Is there any, need for vaccination?
Yes, they require the card.
Buildings?
Yes. If you have the card, we have the.
COVID.
Besides the COVID.
But there are-
Is there any criteria or?
I think typhoid and yellow fever. I think those would be the two. I haven't checked on that, but that would be available, if you look up, travel to the Philippines.
Never been issues.
Yes,
For some reason, someone has a retired period, is it possible for them to go with you guys to issue and be ready? I don't know.
The ticket, it's certainly by the ticket with the price.
Yes.
So like, in the early, you pay exchange.
Well, don't know. We're so new at this trip. How we can do that. It's feasible.
I think you can do that yourself.
Yeah,
You know, you can call your, just request that you want to change your arrangement and.
what I was hoping that we could do is those that go along. That I could have everybody come over to my house with their credit card. We could get on the computer and book the flights all at once there, so that we know that it's all together rather than everybody kind of doing it on their own. And it lessens the possibility for confusion. I think that would. And we're looking at only having 5 or 6 people total. So there's already 2. So that means no more than 4.
I'm bad, if one that facilities of the time, you want to make sure that. We take care of everybody, whenever they need one, that instead of having 2 beds, because we'll be using a bed. And I'm leaving January. Closer to the mic. That's why I'm leaving January, because I need to purchase the domestic flights ahead of time, and I need to make reservations for the hotels, the area that we're gonna be. They need the money. When you make reservations, they ask for you. So I'm gonna go ahead and take care of the little things.
So when would we have to give you confirmation? Have you got any?
Tomorrow by 12 o'clock. No, sorry, no, we were hoping to have everybody's confirmation. Say the middle of November. We could do like. We could do November 1st. We need,
Months. If that's cheaper. It's cheaper traveling on one place.
Well, the thing is, the places we're gonna go, since it's popular plus, it's only X number of people that can go there, they get filled up right away. So she told me that, well, if you want these rooms, then you need to, make reservations as early as possible, and then we'll have the percent. Yeah, and of course, in this area is, according to her, it's really very cold, so like we don't think this way. So the layering thing is we're gonna be way up at the mountain.
that's in Luzon.
Yes, in Panta. It's very high. It's a beautiful place to stay. Way up there in the mountain.
So let's make it November 1st. We need to know
Yes.
by November 1st.
We get the people
So all of you at home, November 1st is the cutoff date. Okay. Well, if there aren't any other questions, we'll go ahead and adjourn for tonight. Again, thank you very much for coming. Look forward to seeing you again in November. Okay.